Hello and welcome back to Factorio C Block. In our last episode, we set up a paste assembling area here that is going to make just a little bit, not a whole lot, basically one liquefier full, and it'll serve to give us a little bit for what we need for some future processes. And as I was kind of looking through those future processes to figure out exactly what we wanted to do next, I realized that the next set of processes is going to be a little bit of test and determine if the thing is the best fit or not. Look at the next one, test and determine if the thing is a better fit or not, and then keep going until we get through about 3 different processes. So instead of, or maybe, depending on how you look at it, up to 3. So instead of going through all of that as one at a time, we're kind of going to combine them all into a series of processes, or a series of episodes that will culminate in building just the best of the processes, rather than doing each one, because they basically are chained one after the other in the unlock tree. And once you get, I think, once you get the last one figured out, you will have the best possible case figured out. But before we do, I wanted just to come up here and show that silver is actually backing up. We actually have a little bit of backup here of silver. And also aluminum is not. Aluminum is still struggling to keep up with the red circuit usage, which are being used completely by Roboport stuff now. There's only a few more things left, I think, that need these yet. And I think it's all just these now that we have left. And we still haven't gone back to those and kind of puzzled through to figure out how those all work. But we will do that at some point in the near future, and we'll get all that going. But I wanted to make sure that I had enough made of everything so that we could go through it all at one time, rather than breaking it up, so that I haven't forgotten about them. They're still there. We're still going to do them, go back to them at some point, but for now, it is what it is. And then, of course, we are still sorting through and processing all of these ores, which I still have not enabled some of these belts, like the dedicated iron, dedicated copper, dedicated iron, and this one even that's like half tin, half silicon. I haven't even enabled that one yet, because we already have a decent amount of silicon backed up, and I don't want to get that one started until we have a little bit more of a grasp on how much tin and how much silicon we're actually going to need. So at some point, if we need more silicon, I'll turn that one on, but for right now, I'm not going to bother with it. So I came down here, and I'm going to start down here for a reason. For a couple of reasons, actually. The first reason is we need to unlock our next technology. I did grinding, which gets us the ability to set up silicon carbide and then grinding wheels. But we need to do, the next thing we want to do is this crystal splinter processing. And for the first time in quite a while, this returns us back to the optimized biome planner science packs. I want to go ahead and add that into the queue. And when we look at what we have left of those, it is quite a few, but it's not a lot. So we need to feed in some more of these things that we make the optimized biome science packs out of, which, God, what are those things even called? Well, we're making them down here. That's what they're called. Been a while. Oh boy, has it been a while. I probably won't be able to find them either. There's the other green science. Other green science is there. These, not even those things. What the heck are those? Alien plant life samples. That's what we're trying to bring in here. And so if you remember correctly, we set up this ridiculously huge area. What felt like a ridiculously huge area. We'll get more on that in a little bit. That we use to set these things up. And I did a little tweaking to this. And I think I want to do a little more tweaking yet. But I want to do an output priority left that push as many of them into this as possible. And then another output priority left here that push as many of them in there as possible. And then I have all of this upgraded to yellow on this whole loop, except for these few belts here. And the idea or the thought here is that, well, they will, we will return some of these back to the other side here, but some of them will want to peel off, so I have basically done that by peeling them off this way. And I don't know if I want that priority on there or not, and I don't know that I even want this priority on here or not. I don't know if that makes sense, or I don't know that it makes sense to have that, so let's take those off. It may make sense, it may not make sense. I don't have the wherewithal to figure that detail out. If you have thoughts on it, by all means, of course, but I don't have that kind of wherewithal, I guess. Is it still chugging? We are backed up pretty good on the desert ones, finally, but then again, also, the desert ones were the ones that were kind of started with, I guess, or maybe we had more of those to start with. And once those back up, then the other ones will kind of get a little bit more oomph. But for now, at least, it is still chugging along, and we still are possibly struggling to produce enough of these as well. And that is because we're not getting enough fertilizer in. Go take a quick peek at that. What's going on with you? You're not getting enough of the brown algae in. Is that because we're just not bringing enough down here? Probably. Yeah, because this is getting spread kind of thin. We're not making that much of it. It's getting spread kind of thin. Maybe we need actually more of this dedicated. And we could do that because we do have a decent amount of saline water. We could do that similar to what we've done here. Maybe that's actually the better thing to do, is to expand this production a little bit, like flip it, kind of, and send it this way. And then we could do dedicated production for that. Maybe that's the best way to do this. I don't know if I want to do that right now, though. You know what? Actually, I will do that right now, but I will do that off camera, so I will be right back. And welcome back. So I have done it. I have brought in just half of this size, because this was a yellow belt, give or take. We only probably need a gray belt here. If we need more, I can always add more in, but it gets it done. I did disconnect this belt from way back here, and you can see it is emptying out up to this point. And so that takes care of that, and that should speed up our production of those things. But since we finished this research, we do not need to run that belt right now. And in fact, I'm going to save that belt to run it off camera instead of spending time here on camera doing that run. So we'll do that between the episodes because we will have more technologies to unlock with that particular science pack over time. So I'm going to come down here into some blank space that I put out. And just to stand here. But we're going to actually probably spend most of our time here in Hellmod because this crystal splinter adds in the ability to make these new polished red and green and blue crystal splinters. They use crystal grindstones, which are used the grinding wheels that I had already unlocked at the start of the episode, and crystal powder, which this recipe doesn't produce. This one does. And this gets a raw crystal splinter and turns it into cut splinters, and those cut splinters get turned into polished splinters. And then we get the raw crystal splinter, though, from polluted artificial fish water. And if you're trying to remember what that is, that's the crap we get from this process, which is not best. I mean, it's huge. That's the problem. It's just a huge, huge, huge build to get a fairly small amount of stuff out of it. But let's see what we need as far as ratio goes. So let's do a new plan. And we're going to do, crystal. I think they're here. Yeah, they're here. Yep, so let's do this one, and this one. All three of them together. I don't want to do 2.67 factories worth. I want to do 1 divided by 2.67, which is 0.375. 0.375 out. Get 1 factory of each, because I think that'll be enough for our purposes for right now. So in order to accomplish that, of course, we need to cut the crystals out of the crystal thingy. So we'll do that here, and that will take 1.5 of these, or 1 of these. Thank you. And that's kind of a nice thing, I think. And then we'll have this crystal powder as a byproduct, but we already know we can use it. We'll use it in just a moment, in fact. And then the raw crystal splinters, we'll use this recipe. And as you can see, there's another one coming. So that's what I'm talking about by not building the whole thing right now, because we're probably not going to need the whole thing as is right now. And this needs 46.875 of this polluted artificial fish water in order to accomplish. If we go back to where was it? One of these here someplace. That was where we did the testing of it. But this one, we were making 35 of that, and it took 21 of these. So we're going to need a lot of fish tanks. And yeah, I don't want to do it without knowing if this is the best recipe to do this with or not. So we'll leave that there for right now, though. I want to go ahead and run through the crystal grindstone. Oh, by the way, these return point 2/3 of a crystal grindstone for every process. So 0.375 go in, 0.25 come back out again. So we need to keep that in mind too. But we need to make more, obviously, crystal grindstones. We're going to need to actually maybe have even more than this as a seed in order to get these all working. Maybe. We'll have to see. Maybe I may have to try to jumpstart this a little bit, but we may not be able to. So, yet, because this stuff only comes for right now from this one recipe, which is, again, why I don't think I want to have this thing built until it's time to actually move forward, because there are other ways to get it, but we can't get it yet until we do some more unlocks. So that should take care of that, and then we need a grinding wheel recipe here, too. We're going to turn this into a yellow machine. And then this one is already 0.75 grays. I think it's fine to leave it as a gray machine. And so that's silicon carbide here. Comes from this, which is silicon and carbon. And then we need to bring in silicon powder. Be fine. And we also need to make carbon. And I think the way we want to make carbon is not that one, not that one, not that one. One of these two. Charcoal and steam, or sodium hydroxide, charcoal, and nitrogen gas. I think we'll do the easy one. That makes carbon monoxide from carbon dioxide. I think the one we want here is the first one. We could do the second one because it would use some of that sodium hydroxide we have a ridiculous amount of, but I don't think we want to do it. I don't think it's necessary, and I think it's just probably a waste of time to try to do that. So let's do this one. We'll bring in the charcoal, and of course we'll have to make steam through this means of boiling the water. We don't want to use that for we want to use this way. Fuel and that one. Okay, so that'll take care of all of that for us. That gets us down to crystal slurry, which is needed to make these. The polluted artificial fish water, of course, steel, silicon, charcoal, and water. The crystal slurry, I think what I want to do for that, and at least what I would do for that if I were to use this recipe, would be to somehow configure this, maybe with some overflows or something, to peel off some of the crystal slurry from this process and just make less of the mineral sludge from these. Alternatively, we could peel it off of this one up here. It's taking in the geodes from the chunk process here. We could peel it off of that one as well. I don't really have a favorite of those, and all of those are a colossal pain. So the third option would be to do another build of this up to this point, having the acid here, and which we'd have to make acid. We wouldn't be able to get it from the recycling of the sulfuric wastewater. Having the acid here, and then we still have all of this this crap coming out of here that we wouldn't be able to use. But we could do that as well, and just do this, get these out of it, and get and then crush them into this stuff to make it into the slurry. But again, I don't want to set that up because I don't know that we actually need to do that. So I'm not going to take this any further than that, at least for right now, because I want to just kind of get a feel for what else we might want to do, because I think there's other options that are coming later as well. So now that we have all that, we just need to make the polluted artificial fish water. And I want to do that with a combination, as we've done before, of the Santa Ray breeding. I should have done the other one. Do that one first. Let's push this into its own thingy here, because it's easier to compute. And then let's do the other one, Santa Ray fish breeding here. And then we want to get, I'm going to link that, of course, to its parent, so 46.875, as previously discussed. And this is making it all in here, but Matrix Solver should solve that for us. Should. And then we want to make some meat here with the Santa Rays, and we'll do that. And I think that's enough for now, Matrix Solver. No, then you just pushed it all into there. Okay. It's not what I wanted you to do. I think we had difficulties with this before. If I put that one on top, does that fix it? No. In that case, let's go back to computing by element. And let's take this one down to 80%. I don't remember what the number was here. Actually, we might be able to get it. That would be smart, Molly. Somewhere in... We had that included too. Did I do... Oops. No, I didn't do it that way either. I forced this one to 122.3%. So that shows it 2 there. That's weird. This did a different thing. Now that is somewhat what I wanted. Still have... too much meat being made? Why are you being weird? Let's set those all to the standard. Do this. Sometimes Matrix Solver is just weird. I don't know why. Do that. Yeah, that's better. And then we still need to balance this out. Go down to like 75? 72? No, flip the other way. 74. Okay, 73. Other way, 0.5, 0.7. This is the fiddly way, but it works. 5.5, 5.3, 5.2. Okay, 5.2, 5. 5.2, 8, 9, 5.3. Okay, you're never going to get a 0 out of this, but this gets it close enough. And so this will get us 28 of these, 1.25 of those, and 7.11 of those. We could probably save ourselves. Yeah, we could knock that down to 1 of the red ones if we wanted to do that. But that gets us that. Now, that's 28 of these. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 20 of those. Well, 21, but 20 of those, because this one's a little different set up. We would probably just trim the odd one off, take this 20, copy it again, make 8 more there, and then take this end piece and snap it closer to this. But that would get us what we needed. But again, I don't want to make 28 of those fish tanks if that's not what we need long term. So what I think we can do, though, is we can maybe design, because we already know this design. We'll need, obviously, to make artificial fish water there. That's these 4.02 chemical plants. I wonder if that's a rounding issue, or do we actually need that tiny, tiny, tiny bit more? Let's pretend that we could always do one of them as an up-stepped chemical plant. Might even be able to do, actually, this. Now, it's still 4 of those, but we could probably do like 3 of these and 1 of those, and that would get us enough. And then we'll do saline water from purification, of course. And that takes that, and then we'll just sink this. This will be actually a 0. And then we have to bring in 7 almost, nutrient pulp and some water. Now, we have nutrient pulp being made over not over there. Over here. Right here, actually. So we could bring this in. Ooh, that's old pipe right there. No, let's do this for now. Old pipe. That must have been going... I don't even know where that was going. Some other thing we had over here at one point, I guess. So we have nutrient pulp. I don't know how much this is actually making, or capable of making, given how much we're feeding into it and everything, but eventually we would have to do some dedicated build of this, which wouldn't be that big of a deal. We could actually do that, especially if we did, like, this, and then we could do, I don't even know which one's the better one. I think we figured out which one's the better one of these, didn't we? I think it was corn. We could do this, and then we could take corn from wheaten or prime Dalian. I don't know. We'll do wheaten. And then we have to, of course, do the wheaten as let's do a control click. Yeah. Put that in its own thing here. We'd have to bring in soil. We'd have to make some seeds here from the wheaten. And that means we'd have to balance this out because we'd have to do a matrix solver on this one, and that actually worked that time. And then we could bring in or make some soil as well from either mud compost or sand and compost. I don't know which one's better. Maybe mud compost would be better for this particular case. 0.1 of each probably is enough. And we could do that. The mud we would get from, well, what's going currently into landfill processing. We could just tap off of that just like we are using it here. Tap off of that and bring it down into here because we'll need it. No, actually, we don't need it for that. Where's the wheat in it? Over here. We're using soil, right. So just kind of as we're using it here, we could do the same type of thing. Why are you... You're just chugging along. Never mind. Okay. We might not be making enough soil for that. Oops. Well, this is also never supposed to be a permanent thing. But we could make some soil from mud and compost. Compost we could get from a lot of different things, including the aforementioned brown algae compost. But anything organic mostly can be made into compost. This is working, by the way. That's good. Excellent. I can take that other crappy belt out when we get time. Or when I get time off camera. So, we could do that. I don't know that that's absolutely necessary, again, because I don't know what this is going to entail. But we could easily do something along that line, and then this as well. So, what if we did, just to take a look at what this part of the build might look like. And of course, it's dark out. So, we'll start with, of course, the top 3. I don't know which order necessarily I put them in. If it matters, I doubt it matters. But those 3, I only had one of those machines, but that's fine. They connect with a pipe, and that pipe would be bringing in from somewhere, whether it's one of the existing builds or a new build of crystal slurry, some crystal slurry. And then we'd want to do, let's see, you got to feed in crystal grindstones as well as the cut splinters. So this one, I think, oops, not the right thing. This one maybe comes from up here, like that, and then we could bring in these, and these would have to probably be belted in. I mean, we could bring them in close. 5 of those, and that would be connected by a pipe to that larger version of this build. Get that stuff in. And then we belt those in. Those go in here because that's only a tiny, tiny amount. You have 0.375 of those. Then these could be, you know, like long inserted in something like that. And like that. And then like this. And then like this. And that would take care of those. And then on the other side of this, we have a build for the grinding stones. That would be this one. So you'll be somewhere centered as well. Oh, but wait a minute. We need boxes because these need to be done gently. We need to have like this. To take these and take them out, take the 2/3 out and put one back in. So that would have to circulate those, which means that this would actually output into those boxes. Not into, yeah, like that. Basically the same as we had up above. That way. And then same thing goes here, up above, I should say, to put into the middle one. These would need to be limited. So we do like a red wire and say, hey, you can only put in there when the crystal grindstones are less than 10 or something. Less than 10, just to make sure we have some in each of those. They would be each connected to their own destination box. And then, weird. I think it would straighten itself out. Maybe not. It looks weird. Let's do that, and then let's move it to drop and pick. There. Yeah, that looks better. Looks less insane. These look insane, too. Maybe I would... they're fine. So that takes care of those, but then they need... one of these, making the grindstones themselves, and then they need a chemical furnace to make the whatever this stuff is called, the silicon carbide. Silicon carbide needs silica powder in, so we could do something like that. And then we also need to have the carbon, and that could come in somewhere like this, maybe. I don't know. And then we'd have a boiler, of course. Boiling the water. It could come in like this, and that goes into there, and that's it. actually. So we could do something like this. There's inserters missing, but the concept is here. To build this out and make it into... We'd have to bring silicon ingots down. Ingots, not the monosilicon, whatever they are, that we have going onto a belt here. The actual ingots themselves from here. These. We'd have to bring those down, which means that this would have to have another belt of silicon ingots on it. And they'd have to get down here or wherever we ended up putting this. We'd need to bring down charcoal, which isn't a big deal. Steel, not that big of a deal either. Maybe we could even half belt these or something if we wanted. The mud's not a big deal. The compost we could figure out one way or the other. We could even, I think you could even compost the, a list of all the compost recipes somewhere? Bet you there's not. Compost machine. Do I have any more of those made? No, I can't even see them there. I know where I can see it. The compost. Here. We can pick what we want the compost to come from. We could even make the compost from either the, right? The wheaten itself, or the wheaten seeds, whichever one's more efficient. That would be interesting to do. Try that out. Wheaten. Okay, so see, it's 0.65 farms. If we did the wheaten itself, there, then we'd have to do matrix solver again. That puts us up to 0.84 farms. Do that as, yeah. And, or we could do wheaten seed, which is at 0.65. So we should do the seeds. No, it didn't actually computate anything. Why did it not? Odd. Oh, I know why. I think I know why. You need to be up there. Do this. No. Okay. Well, that one's not going to solve with the matrix solver. Did this one work? It's not working now either. But that's not what I wanted. That's why. This goes... If that one's working with the matrix solver, it might just be easy. I mean, that's not... Those numbers are nothing. And we could do this as a yellow machine to make just one. Those numbers are pretty much nothing, so I don't think it's that big of a deal to use that. But if we wanted to do wheat and seed compost, we'd have to put in the number manually, which is not easy to do when you're trying to use matrix solver. So I think either way, it's not that big of a deal, but we could easily just do that. That's actually, let's just put that in this plan, just to have it in this plan. Now, of course, these plans aren't perfect because, well, with the exception of Crystal Slurry, they're pretty close to perfect. But we also are at nearly half an hour, and that only gave us part of one solution, one possible solution. So the next solution is the Crystal Splinter Processing 2. In order to do that, we have to do something new called alien microbe processing. So I'm going to start that research now, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode, is this alien microbe processing and whether this is the solution to the problem, along with this Crystal Splinter, and we'll see how far we get on those. I will have this belt run so that we can actually use that stuff, because we're probably going to need these pretty soon, and we'll see how this goes in the next episode. So thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.